Something is happening in this country. Something is happening in our world. People are rising up. The mood of insurrection is high. And we have been forced into a point where we're going to have to battle with the eternal issues which have plagued mankind throughout time. The life of John Lewis serves as a blueprint, as a means of instructing us on how to live our lives each and every day. And more importantly, how to give our lives to the cause for which we believe in. He taught me that history has a spirit. It lives and it breathes. And that we cannot escape history. In the end, we will all be judged. Not for where we stand in moments of comfort, but from where we stand in moments of controversy and discomfort. In remembering John Lewis, we remember the best within ourselves. Over 100 years ago, over 100 years before the march known as Bloody Sunday, Abraham Lincoln once stated that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, for the people, and by the people, shall not perish from the earth. John Lewis was a preacher. He preached to his chickens. And I assume one of his sermons went a little like this. Even you chickens must not live your lives in vain. If you can help somebody as you pass along, if you can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if you can show someone he's traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian aunt, if I can bring salvation to a world once wrought, if I can spread the message as the Master taught, then my living will not be in vain.
John Lewis was a man of his word. He said, speak up, speak out, and get into good trouble, necessary trouble. And when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to say something. In today's society, we have elected men who do not stick to their words. They shy away from saying something when you see something wrong, allowing our unjust ways to thrive. In reading about the life and legacy of John Lewis, we all, in a way, have been touched by the spirit of history. So let us all use that to push ourselves and the people around us. Let us use that to bring action to our words.
Scars on both the inside and out. Scars from being beaten physically and mentally. Scars that in turn influenced who John Lewis was. Influenced the where and when he fought, the how and the why he fought. Scars that never stopped him from continuing to stay awake in the battle against the status quo. To shake up the systems upon systems that impose racist and unjust laws upon the citizens of this country. does that say about now? A man who fought for the idea of a beloved community has passed away. But his words, his actions, his legacy is still here, flowing around the bodies of the ones still fighting, flowing into our minds, pushing and pulling our feet as we decide which step to take in the next level of the lifelong struggle. We tell ourselves to remember who came before us, to remember the sacrifices they made to get us where we are now. And it doesn't stop there. As we are the next group of leaders in this lifetime struggle, we have the legacy of John Lewis on our shoulders, and we must take that legacy as a tool to continue in the fight for freedom and rights for all people.
There is a barrier between good and bad, or what's right and what's wrong. John Lewis was definitely the barrier, or the obstacle that segregation and oppressors had to face. As Dr. King says, nonviolence is not the answer. Therefore, the beatings and the pain inflicted on Mr. John Lewis couldn't and wouldn't stop him from prolonging the good trouble he believed in and barricading the injustice and evil against him. The essence of beauty comes from tragedy. Mr. John Lewis experienced tragedy, so we today could experience the impact on change, which is beautiful.
John Lewis used his forces of moral obligation and love to not only be resilient, but to grow himself into his role that defined his fight for freedom. Freedom for action. Freedom for service. As we all should. The effects of hate can be reversed through love and the courage to forgive. Bloody Sunday embedded the idea that extreme pain and sorrow can be transformed as an agent of power. John Lewis devoted his life to nonviolence because of that reason. Nonviolence needs one to reflect on their values and use one's ability to reason and analyze. While pain may blind one person, it will give clarity to another. John Lewis ensured that he has the love to protect his brothers and sisters all over the world. He protested against the genocide in Darfur, proving how connected we are to the World House. He marched in Washington for jobs and freedom in 1963 and was the youngest person to speak, setting a model for others at the time of his youth of an intergenerational fight. We must resonate our souls to the soul of John Lewis. Wake up, America, as said through his words. Wake up, awaken your humanity, and discuss with our brothers and sisters what it means to be an agent of change.
Years from now, when parents teach their children what is meant by courage, the story of John Lewis will come to mind. Barack Obama said that when he gave this freedom fighter the highest medal a civilian of the United States can earn, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. For his bravery, to be beaten repeatedly and to continue to fight peacefully, a foot soldier in equality, to be jailed 40 times over a period of 6 years, and remain fearless in the face of all adversity. He listened to the wisdom of his elders, and he fought despite all of the violence that was shown against him, and he remained peaceful. We must follow John Lewis, and we must remain peaceful as foot soldiers in the fight for equality.
Through the life of John Lewis, we learn the importance of not only fighting for what you believe in, but choosing to fight with your life. So let us allow the life and the legacy of John Lewis to live through us, for his fight was for all of us.
Congressman Lewis had the calm of the eye in the storm. His resolve and character, powerful and immovable, allowed him to breathe every breath with purpose. In times of turbulence, when we are shaken, we must use his love to be still, immovable, perpetually in motion, marching towards freedom, but unmoving. He teaches us to know our pillars of morality, so that no earthquake, no flood, no fire can move them. We may fall, but our spirits cannot. John Lewis tells us optimism. We must remind each other hope. For when we are weakest, we are strongest. When we are bonded with responsibility, we are freest. Free for work, free for necessary trouble.
Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble.
We can all take something from him that can help us, that can help our kids, that can help our future. He had a lifetime of fighting. He overcame every barrier and every hit someone threw at him. He was arrested, he was beat, and he didn't give up. He cared for us, and from very young, he cared for his chickens. Let's practice everything he taught us. Let's make change happen. Let's care. Let's be like John Lewis. No matter how many tears it takes, no matter how much blood and sweat we put in a movement, let's fight. Let's leave a legacy, just like he did. But most importantly, let's wake up, America, and be the change. Let's get into good trouble, necessary trouble.
Power is the ability to achieve purpose. The most unsuspecting among us lead beyond measure. Lifelong contribution, humility, protocol, single-minded focus, touched by the spirit of history. Even as a member of Congress, surrounded by our nation's most powerful women and men, a humility that you have that lets us know that we matter, John. The capacity to inspire, to raise the bar, to invite others into a deeper understanding of themselves and each of our own moral responsibility that we share as citizens. Enlightened citizenship, right in the face of wrong, stared down, spit down, beat down, pushed down, bully clubbed down, to rise again.
John Robert Lewis invites each of us into a daily conversion, to leave what we know as the way things are, maybe even as the way things are supposed to be, what's comfortable, into the sea of discontent, onto the battlefield of conflict, into the soil of injustice, to have a personal relationship with sacrifice, to leave the self behind long enough, far enough for the new man and the new woman to surface. This is the spirit of resurrection, of being touched by the spirit of history long enough, far enough to make history.